Howdy everyone, this is the Roaming Prepper channel. I'm your host Pete and thank you for joining me today. Today, if you couldn't tell by the title of the video, we're all going to take a financial hit next year. What exactly do I mean? Believe it or not, I'm not talking about inflation, not talking about the CPI, I'm not talking about supply chain. Okay, and this is very specific to the United States, although I think it will affect Canada and Mexico indirectly. This is specific to the US of A, but I'm seeing laws like this passed all over the world, and the fact that they're changing the interpretation of an existing law, they're not actually going through Congress to legislatively make a new law, which at least you could say went through the process. No, they're just arbitrarily changing the way it is. Kind of pisses me off. I'll be right back and let me explain exactly what's happening and how it's going to affect everyone, probably everyone watching my video right now. Welcome back everybody, and once again, if you're just joining me, this is the Roaming Prepper channel. I'm your host Pete. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I usually try to attend my own premieres. More than likely I will not be able to attend this one. I've got a boatload of travel, both business and vacation, between now and the end of the year, so I could very well be in an airplane, or I could just be crashed in my house because my body is in the wrong time zone and I'm passed out. So if I miss it, my apologies in advance. But in any case, if you do have questions that I'm not able to discuss with you, please put them in the comments below the video and I will try to answer as best as I can. Now, what am I talking about? What's this financial hit? If it's not inflation, not the CPI, not supply chain, not the railroad strike, not energy prices, what the hell? I'll tell you what it is. Right now, the IRS, under the current guidelines, will not look at small businesses using Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, Cash App, which all those little cash transfer apps. They will not charge you taxes and they will not look at you for auditing purposes unless you hit $20,000 and 200 transactions. At that point, they consider it a small business. Now, if you already have a small business, you have an LLC, then you should be reporting this stuff anyway. And there are benefits to reporting it as an LLC because then you can write things off and you can get deductions, but I won't go into that at this point. That's the current rule. And before I go any further, I want to state this is not financial advice. This is my understanding and interpretation of a new financial rule that's definitely going to affect my family, and I'm afraid it's going to affect all of you as well. So the new ruling, okay, so the original ruling or the current ruling, $20,000 total with 200 transactions. Now they've lowered it to $600. So if you do more than $600 on one of those apps, they now have to issue you a 1099-K and report it to the IRS. That's why they hired 87,000 freaking IRS agents to audit the shit out of the middle class. Oh, by the way, I'm going to curse in this video because I'm pissed off at this. So basically, without going through Congress, without having a vote, without going through the House, now going through the Senate, regardless of who controls what, the administration has arbitrarily decided they will reduce it from 20,000 to 600. That is going to hurt everyone. Let me explain. If you, for instance, YouTube creators, a lot of us have affiliates, and we're supposed to get tax forms and we're supposed to report it, fine. But a lot of people have home shops, right? Now, if I've got an affiliate with a company, they have to report it by law, so I'm going to get a formal form that I have to put on my taxes. That's fine. That's not the problem. If you have any kind of private business, you're a babysitter, you sell the eggs your chickens make, anything like that. As a matter of fact, there's some economists who are interpreting it that you buy your furniture 5 years ago, right? You decide, I'm going to get new furniture. So you get new furniture and you decide to sell your own, I don't know, your dining room set, right? Your old dining table and the chairs because the kids tore them up, and you get $400 or $800 for that set you bought for $4,000, they're going to tax you on part of that 800. You have a yard sale, they're going to tax you if you hit $600. If you have an Etsy business, you have an Avon or Revlon, or you make embroidered shirts, you guys kind of get the picture. Anything you do over $600, there's no number of transactions, there's no reasonable limit where you say, okay, $20,000, that's a business, guys. No, some people are I know they're gonna get some trolls are gonna go, oh, well, you should be reporting what you make anyway. Yes, but if you have a business and you're running business, yes, technically and legally, you should be declaring anything you sell on the side, right? Because you're a business. If you're an LLC, even more so. But now it even includes things like yard sales or private transactions. So for instance, let's just say my dog sitter has to bring one of my dogs to the vet in an emergency. I'm out of town, my dog gets sick, she runs to the vet and she pays out of pocket $700. And I Venmo her the $700 from wherever the hell I am. Like, hey, here you go, babe. $700 to make you whole. She's going to get taxed, even though technically I'm paying her back. So they're going to tax the veterinarian. They're going to tax her on her income, and then they're going to tax her on what I sent her. And apparently there's no caveat for stuff like that. Now I want that to sink in for a bit. Inflation averaged out is 10%. Meats are up in the 30%. Vehicles have gone up 25, 30%. And I know this not because of some news report. I actually have gone to auto manufacturers and shippers and asked them, okay, because I'm in business, I meet people like that. And I can ask them firsthand, hey, what the hell's going on? Why is that F-150 I bought for 47, which was expensive 3 years ago, is now 60? What the hell? Or 70? What the hell? Did you guys put cocaine in the truck? No, it's inflation, supply chain. So we're getting hit with all these things. And now those of you who are trying to make a little extra money on the side, babysitting or dog sitting or selling embroidered shirts, or even if you're canning, like you're canning food at home and or making jellies and jams and you're selling them like at the farmer's market, you're going to get taxed if you go over $600. Now, again, a lot of people will say, well, you should be declaring it anyway. Yes, maybe so, if you're a business. But if you're doing private transactions, no, the government wants all of this to be collected. In the meantime, they've reduced the amount of money they're giving to small businesses. People cannot afford their homes because they've raised the interest rates so much because of the inflation they caused by printing too much money. And now they're going to fuck all of us. Excuse my French, but I'm so pissed off because I know so many people who this is going to affect. Now, a guy like me, my wife and I are both professionals. We do little things on the side. I kind of know how the system works. And I'm like, okay, if this is going to hit, so it's going to go in effect January 1st, I believe, or 15th. I don't remember the exact date. And your taxes that you file in the beginning of 2024 for 2023 or where you're going to get your ass kicked. I do not believe it's going to affect anything you've made in 2022, because if that was the case, they should have formally told everyone early in the year, hey, the new tax law affects 2022. They did not. So while we're funding a massive war overseas and sending very expensive equipment there, guess who's paying for it? All of you. And this should piss everyone off. I don't care if you're a fucking Republican or a fucking Democrat or liberal or an LGBTQ or whatever the hell you are, black, white, brown, purple, green. Someone you know is going to get screwed on this. Now you know why they hired 87,000, or they budgeted 87,000 IRS agents, who, by the way, we're paying for, so they can take more money from all of us. So here's a scenario. I buy a dining room set. They're not cheap if you get a good one, right? So let's say I pay $2,000 for it. I have it for 4 years. The kids, my kids are older, but let's say you buy a really nice one and your kids tear it up 4 or 5 years later. You're like, or you move, which I do move. And you're like, oh, my dining room set doesn't fit in the new place. So I sell it for $1,000. I paid $2, I sell it for $1. Guess what? I'm going to get taxed on everything over $600. Again, the dog sitter scenario. My dog sitter brings my dogs to the vet. She has to pay $700 or $1,000 because my dog ate a sock or whatever. I Venmo her the money. She might get taxed on that. To my knowledge, as of today, there are no exemptions. So I don't know how, for instance, my dog sitter, now I would call we have a vet hospital in town. I would just call them directly, give them my credit card and be done. But we don't know. I don't know if there's any exemptions for that. And that pisses me the hell off. Right now, the consumer price index is taken off. Gasoline is coming down. Don't be deceived about that, because I promise you it's going to go back up here shortly, and it's not going to be good. I'm going to have to make a whole nother video on that. Natural gas is way higher than it's supposed to be. Diesel is way high. Okay, so you kind of see how the cards are playing. The average inflation is 10%. Different products are higher, some are lower, but 10 to 15% is not an unheard of number. Damn bottle of bleach is $6, and now it's not even a full gallon. Go look at them now. Remember I made that video, a gallon of bleach was $6? Well, now it's 3/4 of a gallon. It's 3 liters, which is really just under a gallon, and guess what? You're still paying $6. So we have all these things going on, and now they're going to squeeze more out of everyone. Blows my freaking mind. Blows my mind. I'm hoping somebody with more money and more smarts in their legal and tax codes than I have decides to turn around and sue the feds for changing the law. I don't know if they can do it. I don't know if it would work, but that's what it is. So you could tell by my face, I'm so pissed off about this, because this affects a lot of people. And God, now two things I'm not clear on. I'm not clear. So let's say they say $600, and you make 1,000, right? So you have $400 over 600. I don't know if they tax you on all 1,000, or they only tax you on the 400 after the first 600. So you have your first 600, then you make 400 over here. Is this what they tax you on? Or do they now tax you on the whole thing? I don't know. I've looked at some websites, and there seems to be contradictions. So and Sassy Southern is an accountant, but she's not a tax code accountant. But we do know people who do know this stuff. So we're going to reach out to them. Now, all right, so you guys know, and I'm done venting and cursing and deciding what assholes we have in fucking Congress. A bunch of shits, but they're going to get a raise, right? And they get vacation while all of us are trying to make extra money on the side to make up for the inflation they're causing by sending our money to Ukraine. And we got fucked. So excuse my language there. Anyway, God, I'm pissed. Y'all, I don't curse very much in my videos, but this one pissed me the hell off. And then I got guys I know who are trying to get time in the VA, and they can't use a voucher to go to a private hospital. The VA is doing the best they can. They're underfunded. But let's send our money to Ukraine, or wherever the hell else they send it. And then let's leave a Marine, a fellow service member, in fucking Russia and bring back a person who doesn't like America. Anyway, I digress. I'm pissed. Anyway, so action items. Now that I'm done, I'll get off my soapbox. Caffeine, I guess. I don't know. What do we do? What are your action items? Okay, so if, again, all this bad news, like any other bad news I bring you, is to inform you so you can course adjust, right? At the end of the day, hearing a bad news is worthless, other than to panic people, if you don't have a course correction, a lesson, or a change, right? I'll tell you what I plan to do, okay? Because we do have Etsy and other little side hustles. One, as of 2023, I'm going to record any and all mileage that's not from my corporation, and it's not personal miles. You know, I go to the baseball diamond, go play beer pong with the guys after hours or whatever. No. Anything I do related to any side hustle, I'm going to record my mileage. One, so you can write off your mileage at a higher rate. Two, anything you spend on that, materials, raw materials, You got to buy a new computer so you can do your embroidery or your Etsy designs or whatever it is, right? You have to take classes so you learn how to do something. Keep all those receipts. Now, I don't know what you can and can't write off. Again, if you have an LLC declared in the US, you have very specific rules, but you can write off a shit ton of stuff. And we've done it because Sassy Southern owned a boutique in Houston, and we got really good at writing shit off. I'm talking tens of thousands in returns because we're like, yeah, well, we made this, but you know, we paid our taxes during the year, but hey, we had all these write-offs, and when the calculation dropped to the bottom, we got a check back. So start doing that now. Get in the discipline of writing your mileage, keeping track of your expenses, your time. Also, if you have a home business, like if you're using, say, I'm pointing at my cabinet, I have a home office on the other side of this wall. Let's say I decided to do a consulting firm, right? People will Venmo me money. I now have to pay tax on it, as I've already covered. Now is a great time. Let's say that office is 15% of the house. U.S. tax code says I can declare 15% of my mortgage interest, 15% of my electrical, 15% of my phone, 15% of my utilities, 15% of my internet as tax deductions, because that's part of my business. Even if I'm not an LLC, let's just say I'm an individual, I can still write it off. There are ways to do it. I don't know all the details. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax preparer. I know how it worked in our specific situation. Talk to an accountant or someone who knows, and you may want to start saving those receipts now. We see it coming, okay? What you don't want to do is get to this time next year and realize, oh, I made 15, 20, 30 grand on Etsy. I didn't set my taxes aside and I didn't record my deductions. And now I'm going to get hammered on my taxes. You don't want to do that, right? You want to try to mitigate that by saving everything in advance. Also, if you're now selling product, let's say you do the embroidery thing, right? You're selling embroidered shirts. You may have to add taxes and then set them aside. Don't do what I've seen a lot of small businesses do. They'll sell, say it's a $20 shirt and they add $5 for tax. Well, they put it all into the piggy bank and then they use it for other stuff and they don't set the tax money aside, and the feds are going to want that tax money. No, you collect your $25, 20 bucks goes to reimburse your company. That $5 should go in a separate account in your bank for tax purposes. So at the end of the year, the feds will say, okay, we added up all those t-shirts, you owe $1,500, and you have that $1,500 sitting in an account. That might be getting you interest if you play it right and you find the right kind of account. Obviously, don't invest it, as the market's all over the map right now. Take your write-offs. If you're using part of your land and you're selling the product, you should be able to write off some of that. If you go to a farmer's market or one of those, those like nutcracker markets where they have all these vendors in their little tents inside the stadium or whatever venue, the fee you paid for your 10 by 10 or 20 by 10 tent area so you could sell your product, you can write that fee off. You can write the mileage off. If you had to get a hotel because you're selling guns at the gun show and you had to go to another city and you needed a hotel for 3 days, you should be able to write this off. So start educating yourselves. I know we're going to get a refresher because the tax codes have changed since we had our own business. Start doing that now so that you can throw those write-offs in there. And you may have to pay up front for a tax preparer, a legitimate tax preparer, to help you navigate that so they can get you the best return. So this is not insurmountable, but it pisses me off because people are trying to keep up with the damn inflation. Our government's been printing money like insane. And look, the election was over in 2020, right? By middle of 2021, the Rona was starting to recede, right? We knew what was going on by the end of 21. They kept printing money, and now we're all screwed. And I blame everybody in Congress because nobody, very small minority of both parties, actually stood against the stupidity because they saw where it was going. Ironically, including Rand Paul and Bernie Sanders, which blows my mind because those two are rarely on the same page, but they were on some of this. and nobody wants to listen to them. So we're going to pay the price. So this is prepping financially. This is prepping economically. It's not prepping food, pews, first aid kits, etc., etc. This is prepping yourself to not get a hit by a government entity, legally speaking. So start saving those receipts. Get yourself a set of folders and a little box. Keep everything separate. If you're selling stuff, set the tax money aside. Calculate as best as you can estimate what you may have to pay in taxes and set it aside. You should be doing it already, but a lot of us don't for small little piddly things we do on the side. And again, remember, we're going from a $20,000 to $600 trigger limit. That's insane. That's going to hurt a lot of people. But these are steps you can take today, right now. Get in that discipline. Buy yourself an accounting book. Hell, get a notebook. As long as it's legible and you can explain it. Excel is great. Any kind of spreadsheet. Make yourself a damn spreadsheet. And keep track of this shit, because it's going to hit all of us. And all of you content creators out there who are watching me, if you have any affiliations, you've got an affiliation with Nutris or I forgot what they're called, or ReadyWise or Mountain House or you know, Outdoor Ninja Skill Company, whatever the hell you're doing, or you're selling your little mug with your little logo on it, you're going to get hit once you hit $600. So save those receipts, write off those portions of your home. I could have an IRS agent walk in here right now, look at my office, and clearly see that that is a dedicated office for my business. So if I decided I was going to be a consultant, it even has its own door and its own potty. I literally can close my little, and I don't have a big house, but the layout and the design is perfect for what I'm doing. You may be able to finagle it. Pick a room if you have to, but check your local tax codes, check with an accountant. I don't know all the details, but guys, this is going to hurt everyone next year. At the end of next year, people are going to get hurt. So this is your heads up, guys. Now you have time to start to learn about how to deal with the new situation. I personally can't change the tax code. I think all of them are shitheads in Washington, but you know what? I can't change them. All I could do, I went and I voted. Our local representatives and senators won, and then like everyone else lost. So, you know, hey, folks, we voted them in, and this is what we got now. And I blame people on both parties, because really more people could have stood up and they're not. And anyway, I could go down a whole nother rabbit hole with that. Prepare now, educate now, and take the steps now. Get into the discipline now, so when you hit January, you're saving those receipts, you're recording those miles, you're averaging out your space in your house, so you can deduct light, electrical, water, cell phone, internet, all that shit, okay? Make sure you're taking as many steps as you can to mitigate the hit you're gonna get at the end of 2023. And if you're working for a company like I do, and you have a side hustle like I do, I'm paying single rate, not married, I'm single filer, plus I'm adding money to what I'm paying in the feds. So I'm overpaying the feds during the year, knowing I might have something over here I have to account for. But again, it's a little Russian roulette, because I've done it right a couple of times, and I've screwed it up a couple of times. I got the calcs wrong, and I wound up owing taxes. So again, now, if you get hit with taxes in 2023, in 2024 for 2023, and you're not ready to pay them, reach out to the IRS. They do have a variety of different payment plans. I will always set up a payment plan. Even if I have the money in a bank account right then and there, I'll set it, because that way I can spread out the payments. It doesn't screw up my budget, and I'm earning interest on my own money until it's time to make the payment. So guys, that's all I got. And again, not financial advice, but a financial heads up. Talk to an accountant, talk to people who prepare taxes. I'm pretty sure every accountant in America is trying to figure out what the hell they're supposed to record for next year. And if you can use a service like H&R Block or not Edward Jones, not TurboTax, H&R Block, you know, all those tax preparing people. For a couple of $100 extra, they will do a guarantee, and they will also help defend you in an audit. Because if they do your taxes and you get audited, and it was on them to file right and they didn't, They'll help defend you, and they can usually negotiate with the IRS for you. The IRS just wants to check its little box because it is a government entity. And if you can get H&R Block or whatever tax preparer company to do it for you, that might make your life a little easier. And I might wind up paying an extra couple of $100 the next few years to have that safety net in the event I didn't report something correctly or I misunderstood my own paperwork until I get a handle on what I'm getting into. So guys, take the steps now. God bless, Godspeed. I will see you on the next video. And again, I'm going to be traveling a lot, so not a lot of lives coming up. Just what it is. But y'all be safe. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you later.